And we are live in the heartland. I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower. I'm your mailman. Ready or not, here we go. And I've done that. I hit the loop button's got to be unlooped, but I didn't. I forgot to do it. So anyway, here we go. I hope you're ready for some unindoctrination because ready or not, here it comes. Wall to wall, coast to coast, border to border, treetop tall. I'm a little bit off because I just was a little bit slow. I just got out of the plunge tank not too long ago. In fact, I'm still cold. I haven't had a chance to get my hot drink in me. But we will be A-OK, cousins. I promise you. Tonight, Judeochristian Tikkun Olam, passing the buck. Part 4, I believe, of us talking about the return of the gods, the trashy book that was just released. I think we'll have 6 in total. I finished it, and I believe there's 2 more after tonight. And boy, this is some of the best work we've done. It really is. And I think that you will agree. Tonight, let's say hello to the Rockfin people first. And boy, they're filling it up. Mind Over Magic. Brandon is here. James S. is here. Cremolan. Already some new names. Glad to see James S. Please don't put any links in my chat during the show. I work hard to get people to the show, and I would rather you didn't send them somewhere else. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. We got Dead Neo. We've got Tracy Cooper Ryder. Bonnie's the best. Colin. We've got Mind Over Magic again. It's not a Rockfin exclusive. We've got Tracy Cooper Ryder. We have Super Galactic. We've got who else is here? TMP Wild. Great to see you. Emperor Rex is here with us. Emperor Rex is here with us. And just like me, guys, when things happen, it's not the CIA. It's not the NSA. 99% of the times it's on your end. Just stay calm and reset. Just stay calm and reset. It really is just that simple. It just happened to me before this show. The camera wouldn't work. There's been a time where I would have got upset, but I just stayed calm and restarted. And boom, there it is. It works out beautifully. So here we are, ready to give you some podcast excellence. Snake Daggers here. Christy Daniels is here. Delaney Black Pearl Jones is here. Tammy Miles is here. Philip McTeer is here. Jack Nelson is in the house. Linda Fiskey's here. Mark Howard is here. Snake Daggers here. Mind Over Magic. Hans Eisenstengel is here. Dana Young's here. Out of Bubblegum. Brian Waugh is here. Let me just make sure of one thing. Let's talk about the audio. The audio is where I want it to be. I'm pretty sure. Let me make a faux pas, and I'll go ahead and open up the YouTube just to make sure that the sound is good. I'm pretty certain that it is, but it never hurts to double check. And we'll make sure that we've got everybody tuning in on YouTube just as we need them to do so. We're on the Exvangelical Hour. We're on the Flee the Watchtower, and we're on Unindoctrinate with JeffreyDarty.com. We're on all of those places, and you're going to hear me come on live here in a minute, but don't worry. We're on all of those places. Oh, it sounds so smooth. It sounds so awesome. There's nothing wrong with the sound around here, cousins. We are in really, really good shape. Angela Monk's here. Spay and Neutered Your Gods here. Missing You's here. Gia's here. All the cool kids are here hanging out. Out of Bubblegum's here. And we're very, very happy that you're here. So let's jump into this tonight. It's Monday. I think it's Monday. I forgot to work out today. I lost track of the days. I forgot that it was Monday. Hey, it happens. Trust me, it really does. So here we go right into this deep program. It's going to be a really, really good one. I'm super excited about it. I know you are too. So here we go. Judeochristian Tikkun Olam, passing the buck. All right. Tikkun Olam, we're spilling the beans because they're trying to pass the blame. Now, I watched I watched I watched Dave Chappelle doing his Saturday Night Live monologue. I hadn't seen it. Somebody sent it to me. I watched it, and I'm so glad that I watched it. And, I don't know if you watched it or not, but Dave Chappelle said there's two words that when you ever put them in a sentence, nothing good follows for the person that says them. The first word was the second word started with a J. We're not going to say who it is, but I think you know. So we're not going to talk about them. And if you know my work, and if you're on Rockfin and on the BitChute and on the Odyssey, you know my work, and you know that I know. But tonight we're going to be very, very calm. It's going to be a they kind of night because we're on YouTube and we're doing what we do. So we know who we're talking about, and I know who I'm talking about. And if you want to blah, 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 then you don't know what you're talking about because I've been doing this, and I've been doing it well, cousins. Better than anybody else, best in the world at what I do, no doubt about it. So let's rock and let's roll here, and let's hit this and make it fun, make it good. Tikkun Olam. We'll get into it more deeply. I'm spilling the beans. They're passing the blame. And in the white here, you'll see the book that the rabbi wrote, Messianic Rabbi James Caan, or Jonathan. James Caan was the actor, Jonathan David Caan. And then I highlight specific portions of the book. And then in the yellow, I'm responding directly to the book. And in the white, I'm just going ahead and putting in my commentary. So the rabbi said that upon its return to the world, the ancient spirit would set to accomplish its mission. So they're trying to pass the blame on to pagans for Tikkun Olam, which is really cute. He said that this ancient spirit, which is the spirit of Yahweh, his God, he said that this ancient spirit would seek to alter the definition of male and female. He said that this ancient spirit would blur the lines and nullify distinctions between the two being male and female. He said that this ancient spirit would transform the nature of man and woman. He said that this ancient spirit would feminize all that was male and masculinize all that was female, and that this ancient spirit would attempt to turn man into woman and woman into man. And he's right, if he's talking about the ancient spirit that we know as Yahweh. This is explicit, expressed Tikkun Olam doctrine, and the rabbi knows it damn well. It is the ancient spirit of the rabbi's God that is altering the Western definition of male and female, because the original Kabbalistic definition of male and female was androgyne. They were one, just like the God was one, androgyne. We, the pagans, are the ones that became distinctly male, distinctly female, and we're proud of it. And it is their God, the rabbi's God, that's trying to blur the lines and nullify the distinctions between the two. And they're using classic projection and distraction. It is their God, the Bible God, that is trying to transform the nature of man and woman. We know we're men. We know we're women. And it is the Bible God that's trying to feminize the male and masculinize the female. It is the Bible God that is attempting to turn woman into man and man into woman. It is Tikkun Olam doctrine explicitly. And this rabbi knows it damn well. He's been down to Mar-a-Lago with the Chabadist Trump. It's all a big club, and you ain't in it. That's the second George Carlin reference, because Dave Chappelle had the 2 words you can't say on TV. I think George had the 7 words you can't say on TV back in the day. But Chappelle's words you can't say on YouTube either. That's why I haven't. There's a reason why Jesus appears so damn feminine. Raven Blue, I am Nancy. There's a reason why Jesus appears so feminine. Jeff, Nobody knows what Jesus looks like, which is really an amazing statement in itself. You know, these Romans were really good at making busts, not those kind of busts, Dagger, not those kind of busts. The Romans were great at making these busts. We got busts of Plato. We got busts of Socrates. I know they're Greek, but work with me. We got busts of Caesars. We got busts of, soldiers, pilots. We got all these busts of all these people. But the one guy that turned water into wine, no bust for you. The one guy that fed 5,000 with a couple fish and a couple pieces of matzah, no bust for you. The guy that walked on water, no bust for you. The guy that raised the dead, no bust for you. Are you kidding me? What are the chances that all these dudes and dudettes would have busts, but Jesus ain't got no bust? It doesn't make any sense. And I'm one of the few people that will call that nonsense out. Dagger really is behaving lately. Thank you, Dagger. I appreciate it very, very much. So Jesus, nobody knows what Jesus looks like. Well, that's because he wasn't real. Because if somebody would have known what he looked like, they would have made a bust of him. And I almost said a bust of that, B, did some alliteration. But I'm trying to be nice. Okay? But they did paint him. And the guys and the guys that were painting back then, some of them might have been girls, but they had to present as guys. The guys that were painting back then were paid basically by the royals and by the church, right? By the royals and by the church. So they couldn't just come out and say stuff and paint stuff that was crazy, but they could paint Jesus looking like a chick. And that's supposed to make you think, why the hell does he look so much like a she? Why does he look so girly? Why does he look so fabuloso? I call him Jesus Fabuloso. Why does he look so fabuloso? He would fit in today down at the gay bar during the, what was Alex Stein at the other day? The story time, gay story time, androgyne story time, transsexual story time, cross-dresser story time. I'll get there. Yeah, Jesus, when he was 40 days and 40 nights, that's when they made all those busts. There's a reason why all of our representations of Jesus are feminine. They're trying to tell us a story. And the story is the same story that was told in Genesis 1:1. When you reference it with John 1:1, Jesus appears so feminine in all the art because the ancient masters were trying to subtly communicate to us to read in the script and learn that Jesus was and is the female half of the prototypical original androgyne. John 1:1, Genesis 1:1. It's been in some deep programs. Look it up. Jesus also personifies love and ferocity, and we'll get to that because he accuses our goddesses of being both ferocious and loving. Well, Jesus is the same thing. God is love, Prince of Peace. And then here comes Revelation 19:15, and he's going to kill every Gentile. Jesus is the embodiment of male and female. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God, the Elohim. What does Elohim mean? Look it up in your Strong's Concordance. Elohim means male and female, gods and goddesses, plural. Well, what the hell then? John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word. We know Jesus was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. The Word was God. We read in Genesis 1:1, which, John 1:1 says in the beginning. The only other in the beginning is back there, Genesis 1:1. So we got God in Genesis 1:1 being male and female, but being one. We got God in John 1:1 being male and female, namely Jesus and the Father, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Father is the masculine, and that leaves Jesus fabuloso being the feminine. It's really not that hard to figure out. And I put Hebrews 4:15 in here. Believe it or not, right at this moment, I don't remember what Hebrews 4:15 says. So we're going to just look it up. How about that? We'll look up Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. Let me go ahead and get there so I don't put you through all the mechanizations of my Bible Hub speediness. Hebrews chapter 4, verse number 15. Jeff, why did you put that down? Well, we're about to find out how it relates to it. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. All right. Are y'all ready for this? No, you're not, but I'm going to bring it to you anyway. Okay, Hebrews 4:15. Jesus, our great high priest. Well, let me just show you what Paul said, okay? Seeing then that we have a great high priest. Who's the great high priest? Jesus. He's passed in the heavens. Who did that? Jesus. And just in case you couldn't figure it out by being the great high priest and the one that passed in the heavens, oh, it's Jesus, the Son of God. For he's not a high priest that can't be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but he was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. He's been touched with all the feelings of our infirmities. Let's look at this a minute. He has been touched. Remember touched by an angel? She was kind of hot. What was her name? Roma Downey. For anyway, we have a high priest who has been tempted. He's been tempted. He's been tested. He's been tried in every way. How many ways? Every way. All the whole. He's had every kind of temptation that we've had. How many believes that we, if Paul's writing this to the great Christian church, is got to have dudes and chicks, right? So I got a question for you. If Jesus has been tempted in every way that every dude has been, then he also must have been tempted in every way that every chick has been. How can you be tempted in every way that every woman has been tempted if you haven't been a woman? How can Jesus know what it's like not to try and choke the hell out of some stupid man who doesn't realize that you're on your period, and the reason why it's called PMS, the only reason why is because mad cow disease was already taken? How come Jesus, there's no way he could have known that urge not to choke a man to death when he makes a joke like this one just made? Jesus couldn't know that unless he'd been a woman. But Jeff, he came as a man. Yeah, but he was a woman before. So in the female essence of the Elohim, he understands all the weaknesses of the feminine side. In the feminine essence of the Elohim, he's been tempted every way that the feminine has. And since he came as a dude, even though he looked like a lady, he came as a dude. He's been tempted in all the dude ways. Therefore, all of us can approach the throne of grace with confidence. We all know can receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need, because the chick part of Jesus done been tempted and the dude part of Jesus done been tempted. It's really not that hard to figure out if you just let it say what it says. Just let it say what it says, and it's easy. But see, I'm about the only one that has any respect for the original text anymore. The Christians don't have any respect for it. And then the rabbi wrote, the goddess would inaugurate the metamorphosis and deconstruction of women. That's about the dumbest thing that any Judeo-Christian has ever wrote. Do you really think the goddess destroys womanhood? The goddess empowers women. Christianity destroys and deconstructs femininity. They want you in the kitchen making sandwiches. women. And the thing that bothers me most is that you're down with that. Because you see, he's trying to cast aspersion on our warrior women because the Judeo-Christians really fear our warrior women, and they should. He says that Ishtar was a militarized goddess. Spay and neuter, love you. I know that was a great deep program we did, but can we move on from that? You're distracting just a little bit. I appreciate you, though, but let's move on from that. Thank you very much. He calls her a militarized goddess. The only reason why our goddesses became militarized is because we were attacked by overwhelming odds by Judeo-Christians. He goes on to say that it was all messed up because the pagan women would actually fight in combat. The reality is that pagan women have generally only gone into combat against overwhelming odds. Women weren't part of the freaking army. Women didn't normally go out and fight. Not typically. They didn't. He's just wrong. He's lying and he knows it. But when faced by overwhelming odds, when given the choice of submitting or dying well for the ashes of their fathers and the temples of their gods and goddesses, the women then would pick up a sword and get on a horse and ride like hell. Pagan women would take up arms and fight if we were facing and when we were facing the overwhelming odds of the nasty, filthy Judeo-Christian Romans setting out across the world on their crusade of genocide and ethnic cleansing. And our women will still do that. So watch out. Goddess imagery empowers women. We thrive on the male and the female ideals. The rabbi wants to say that the bonds that hold men and women together are being deteriorated by paganry. That is such complete nonsense. We thrive on male. We thrive on female. In this, only the bonds of Tikkun Olam and the bonds of the Judeo-Christian androgyne ideal are being deteriorated. Only that's being deteriorated by our manifestations of the divine feminine and our manifestations of the divine masculine. Yeah, they'll do it if they have to, but generally that's not what they chose to do. Now, there were some, but to say that most pagan women were warriors and they weren't very ladylike is just plain nonsense. Just plain nonsense. And then the rabbi says that male attributes as exhibited by men were increasingly attacked and deemed to be toxic masculinity. Men had to be demasculinized. That's true. But he tries to blame it on paganism. A rabbi attacking their own agenda. How quaint. Male attributes being attacked, and this idea of male toxic masculinity, this idea of male being demasculinized, this is the woke agenda. This agenda is not being pushed by pagans. This agenda is not being pushed by heathens. This agenda is being pushed by the mainstream media, the dominant media. And we know who runs them. This agenda is being pushed by education. And we know who runs them. This agenda is being pushed by the legal system. And we know who runs them. This agenda is being pushed by the political power structures. And we know who runs them. We do. So to say that it's paganism is nonsense. And where I'm from, it's called lying. The rabbi is a liar. Period. The rabbi is a liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And the rabbi actually tries to blame pagans for Tikkun Olam. He says that Ishtar was the embodiment of androgyny. Absolute nonsense. Just because she acted as a warrior does not mean that she had male attributes, because they have no concept of the true divine feminine. Because to them, feminine is in the kitchen making a sandwich, quiet at church, asking her own husband, but not in the pagan, heathen economy of life. We love our strong women. We love our powerful women. We love our women that are assertive when they should be and submissive when they should be too. We like it. We would expect, the rabbi said, to see the merging of male and female, the confusing of the two, the feminization of males, masculinization of females. This is exactly what happened. Yes, it did happen, but it happened as you were killing all of us pagans off and killing our ideas of masculinity and killing our ideas of femininity and killing our gods and killing our goddesses. It was only with the rise of Tikkun Olam in its Judeo-Christian manifestations that this began to happen. The rabbi knows that this came from them and not us. He's just a liar, and he knows most of you that read his book are too stupid, too lazy, and too Stockholm syndromed, spiritually Stockholm syndrome, to call him on it. I had to write a really sad email the other day, and I'm not going to tell you who I wrote it to, but this person has been on the show and has been going back and forth and is always sending me all this nonsense about this stuff. And so I finally said to him, look, I don't want any more emails from you until you get yourself out of spiritual Stockholm syndrome. I'm done with you. Then he sends me back an email that says, I never thought I'd get a response like that from you, and it had like little tear marks on it. It didn't, but it could have. I'm just over the nonsense. I'm over the nonsense. And the rabbi knows that it came from them and it didn't come from us. And then this rabbi goes on and tries to continue to blame pagans for Tikkun Olam. He says, I didn't highlight this one because there's 102 slides, and I just forgot this one. I forgot. A concept that had never before existed in human history was invented to coincide with this metamorphosis. It's called gender identity, he says. By this, it was now possible to divorce oneself from one's biological being. Everyone was now told that they possessed a gender of sexual identity that could very well be the opposite of what they were born as, contrary to their biological gender. All were now encouraged to consider whether they were, in fact, authentically other than what they were. Men were to consider whether they were, in fact, women, and women were to consider if, in fact, they really were men. Who told them to do this? Who brought these ideas to them? He's trying to make you think these are pagan ideas. This is 100% Tikkun Olam, androgyne nonsense, and it's spread 100% by the mainstream media, education, finance, government, all those things that are supported by Judeo-Christian MAGA-tards, and the rabbi knows that. And yet he wants to blame us. And as if little children weren't already enough confused, they can go to the public library, watch a man dressed as a girl, read them a story. Who runs the libraries? You know, don't say it out loud. Don't type it. We know who it is. Who runs the story hours? Thank you, Emma. You know who it is. Don't say it out loud. You can't say those two words together without getting in trouble. Who runs the media that glowingly supports it all? You know. They do. And he wants to blame it on us. He wants to blame it on us. A quick review of Tikkun Olam is in order. Just a quick review. I've shown you in recent weeks from the Bible text itself that the entity called the Father and the entity called Jesus, the Word, the Son, make up the prototypical Hebrew androgyne described by the Hebrew word Elohim. This is the real, true essence of the Jewish and now Judeo-Christian as well concept of Tikkun Olam. God being male and female androgyne one, and all the people being male and female androgyne ones. Normal internet searches won't give you anything but the surface level of Tikkun Olam. And the Judeo-Christian cover story about it, that it is an effort to restore the world. It is, but it's an effort to restore the world that they seek to restore, and it's the world of the androgyne. Now, it pains me to say it, but the best information accumulated and disclosed to date comes from the slimy double agent CJB. It's literally kosher disclosure. And Kabbalah, specifically the Trump-style Habadist Kabbalah, teaches that the fall from the androgyne state into separate male and female state was a great calamity that only Tikkun Olam can repair. And they were given 6,000 years to fix it, and guess what? They're out of time, and that's why they're all upset. That's what we're talking about. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things right now because it is so hard for people to get this. It's so hard for people to understand this. But I've got a 1-2 punch that will help you knock your way into unindoctrination. Punch number one is a physical punch, and it's called nanosoma. It's a little supplement you squirt in your mouth 5 squirts a day. That's what I do. And it empowers your body. It optimizes your body to heal and cleanse itself. We're on YouTube. We got to be careful. But if you have allowed anything to be put in your body that you shouldn't have allowed to be put in your body, it will cause it to drop out of your body. And it optimizes you physically. And it also tends to optimize your giftings and your empowerings of a spiritual nature. Nanosoma takes care of it on the physical. Go to jeffreydarty.com, click on the Nanosoma button. Focus Life Force Energy takes care of it on the esoteric, the subtle, the etheric level. They send you a high consciousness environment to your home or to your phone, and it allows you to live in this high conscious environment. It also mitigates 5G, so it enables you to it gives you a much better chance of bringing up your consciousness. And that's what you got to do if you want to unindoctrinate yourself. If you're trying to unindoctrinate yourself and you're struggling, get Nanosoma and Focus Life Force Energy. If you have unindoctrinated yourself and you want to stay unindoctrinated, get Nanosoma and Focus Life Force Energy. Go to jeffreydarty.com. There's a FLFE button. There's a Nanosoma button. And get yourself the help you need to be who you want to be. We're the last generation of real humans. We need you to be your best. We do. All right. They hide behind their diversion, this diversion of Judeo-Christian androgyny. The cult of the goddess is believed to have involved castration. It was believed this. It was believed that. It was believed by who, Rabbi? This is why I get so irritated with you guys talking to me about, oh, this guy proved it from history and this girl proved it from history. They can't prove one damn thing from history. Because all of history, Akkadian history, Sumerian history, the oldest of history that we know about, right down to the most recent history we know about, has all been funneled down through the Calvinists and the Jesuits. In one way or another, they were surgically altered. This rabbi wants to tell us that in ancient days, people were surgically altered. Where's your proof, Rabbi? Just because you say it doesn't make it true. And in fact, because you say it, makes it even more questionable. And he uses the word gender as much as Nancy Pelosi does. Why is he using the word gender? Do you understand the word gender is not a word? It's like that silly movie that I never seen, Princess Bride. I don't think that word means what you think it means. Gender is only for language. There's words that are a male gender. There's words that are a female gender. Not so much in English, but in other languages like German and French, Spanish, they have gender. Gender is a term that only applies to language. And yet you allow them to apply it to sex. And here's why you've made a mistake by allowing them to do it, and you make a mistake by continuing to allow them to do it. If you're talking about sex, it's pretty simple. Boy, girl, girl, boy, period, the end. But when you allow them to say gender, now you got, they say, about 72 genders. You see, you've got to stop people. Well, I'm gender. No. Gender is just a word for language. It's the same thing as this word Christ. Christ is a Greek word, and it's not a name. Ergo, it should never be pronounced in English as Christ. Never. But we don't have the testicular fortitude to call people on it, so they keep doing it. Christ is anointing. Christ is flow in English. So why is this rabbi constantly using the word gender when he's supposed to be a truther? Because he's not. Period. Gender, 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 gender. He sounds like Chuck Schumer, for heaven's sake. Why does he use this word? He shouldn't, and nor should we. He says that our pagans minimize male characteristics, wore women's stuff, and that we were all transsexuals in our clergy of old. This is an outright lie. An outright lie. His God, the rabbi's God, was the first original androgyne in the text and the last androgyne in the text. Gia's husband was going to Catholic school, thought he was going to be a priest, and then he found girls. Woo, thank goodness for that. You know, a lot of you think a lot and talk a lot about Victoria's Secret. Well, I want you to forget a minute about Victoria's Secret and learn Jesus' secret. But I just realized they're pretty much the same secret. Pretty much the same. And no, Christos, you don't bring it over into English. That's wrong, Rob. Love you, but that's wrong. You don't bring over Spanish words. You're not out there saying a Spanish word, are you? No. Unless it's a name. And we all know it wasn't a name. So we don't bring it straight over to English. It has to come over as anointing or as flow. But Victoria's Secret, Jesus' Secret, about the same thing. What the heck do you mean? So if the goddess was returned to the modern world, says the rabbi, we would expect her powers to transform sexuality and sex, I'm not even going to say the G word, to again be demonstrated. In short, we would expect the return of transsexuality and transgenderism. And this is exactly what happened. No, it's not, Rabbi. We didn't have transsexuality and transgenderism until Christianity reared its ugly head. We didn't have it. And the reason why we didn't have it is because it was contra survival. When you are a pagan society and you're living out there, you gotta keep the fire burning. You got to keep the fields burning. Some dude in a dress ain't going to help. It's just not going to help. It's contra survival. I don't really care if you want to dress up in a dress, but you better do your work. We didn't have in pagan heathen societies homosexuality. We didn't have transsexuality. We didn't have transgenderism. That stuff just didn't happen. But when Judeo-Christianity took over the world, all of a sudden it was happening. And what is the bedrock of Judeo-Christian prophecy? Jesus returning. That's the bedrock of Judeo-Christian prophecy. And the Jesus that's returning is the he-she Jesus that's returning. And the he-she is going to kill all Gentiles. And he's going to kill all Gentiles to facilitate the completion of Tikkun Olam. Now we know. Once Jesus comes back, all the Gentiles are removed. And the androgenization, whatever the word is, of Tikkun Olam can proceed without delay, hindrance, or disturbance. And this is what they think is going to happen. And this is what is going to happen unless we stop it. Let me break it down for you a little bit. Revelation 19:6. And I heard the sound of a roar of a great multitude, like the rushing of many waters, like a mighty rumbling of thunder. Give me 1 second to turn down the heat on my healthy wave mat that I sit on that is really nice on my back. Come on, baby. There you go. Let me turn this down a little bit because it's getting hot in here. All right. We'll turn it down to a hundo. Okay. Nice and therapeutic, but not enough to make me sweaty. All right, there we go. The rushing of many waters, a mighty rumbling of thunder. Hallelujah! For the Lord our God, the Almighty, reigns. Let us rejoice and be glad and give him the glory. For the marriage supper of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. She was given clothing of linen, bright and pure. So, the marriage supper of the Lamb has come. The word marriage is 1062 in the Greek, and it means a wedding celebration. Figuratively, the marriage supper of the Lamb, which begins with Christ glorifying all the saints, Old and New Testament, at his return. Under the figure of marriage here is represented the intimate and everlasting union of Christ at his return from heaven with his church. This is straight out of Strong's Concordance. So the marriage, the wedding of Christ glorifying all the saints, that's what happens. The wedding can't happen till Christ glorifies. The wedding can't happen. Let me get this over here so I can change it. The wedding can't happen till Christ glorifies all the saints at his return. The wedding celebration of who? Of the Lamb. The word 721 is actually a sheep. So it's really the wedding celebration or the marriage celebration of the sheep. It's literally the marriage of the sheep, the Judeo-Christians. It's your party. He's throwing you a party. Jesus is throwing a party for the nations, the Gentiles. Isn't that fun? No, not so much. It's your party, and you'll cry whether you want to or not. Trust me. Trust me. Because watch what happens. So you got that? It's a wedding celebration of the sheep who are clearly the Christians. And he's got to glorify all of the saints. Who's the saints? It ain't you, you're the ain'ts, and I'm going to show you. Watch this. And his bride, Revelation 19:7. His bride. And the words 1135, gune, a woman, a wife, a lady. His bride has made herself ready. His bride is going to get prepared and made ready. Follow me. He's coming back and having a big celebration for all the Gentiles. And after this happens, the saints can be glorified. In other words, they can make themselves ready. Are you watching? The sheep will be made ready. The sheep are not ready. They are not prepared. The coming of Christ is going to get them ready. And the bridegroom isn't ready yet either. And good news, bad news. Good news, you're invited. You've been given the call, the summons, the invitation. And just to make sure you didn't miss it, Revelation 22:17, the Spirit and the bride say, come. Let him that heareth come. Let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him come. And then heaven opens. A white horse, him that sat upon it, faithful and true. Out of his mouth a sword. That's Jesus. And he will smite the nations. Thank you, Dagger, for checking that. Jesus doing the same thing that Baphomet. And I'm telling you, under that loose-fitting robe, Jesus got the same rack as Baphomet. That's a good full C, maybe a D. Maybe a D. And he probably, I bet you those two fingers smell. I'm just saying. Woo! I bet they stink. I blame Smoochie for that one. But he's coming back with a sword to smite to death the nations. The word is 1484 Gentiles, distinct from Israel. It's a marriage supper. It's a celebration. We got to get all of the sheep there. And after this celebration, then the saints can get themselves ready. The sheep need to come. The saints need to come. Everybody's invited. And all the Gentiles are going to get killed. Jesus is coming back to kill all the nations. And it's the word Gentiles. You can't get around it. Jesus comes back to kill the Gentiles. It's a big party, just like Jehu threw for all of the pagans after he had killed Jezebel and killed Ahab. Let's make peace. All of you pagan prophets, come, we'll have a barbecue. They came and had a barbecue, but they were the barbecue. You're going to come to this marriage supper, but you are the supper. You're going to be killed. And it says there right in the Bible, you're going to be killed. Christians think this is the bride of Christ. Now, let me ask you this. If you're a Christian man, aren't you also part of the bride of Christ? But you're a dude. How can you be a bride? And that's not even the problem. Well, it is a problem. If you're a man thinking you're part of the bride of Christ, brother, you got some problems. You've got some real problems. I'm part of the bride of Christ, says every Christian man I've ever met. Really? Dude, you're part of the bride and you're proud of it? They're feminizing you, bro. Wake up. But that's not even the 10,000 Lakes says there's a deception. Yeah. But that's not even the biggest part of it. It is a big part because you think you're going to be part of the bride, but you're going to be dead. You're a dude. You should have known. But the language is explicit. Remember, it said the bride is a woman. Right back here, it said the bride is a woman. Kune, woman, wife, lady. Oh, well, the dude is the men in the Christian faith are symbolically women. Well, I agree with that. They are a bunch of bitches, but explain to me again, Christian, how men can be a bride. Thank you, 10,000 Links BC. The word says woman. And if you are a Christian man, how are you going to get to be a woman? Well, maybe you can Tikkun Olam yourself and make it in. I don't know. But Christians think it's the bride of Christ, which includes Christian men, which is really weird. But no, the language is explicit. The bride's a woman, a wife, a lady, no dudes, and no dudes that look like ladies. My throat's all messed up. I can't sing that high anyway. This is not what they call the bride of Christ. It can't be, because the bride of Christ can't include men, because the Bible itself says it's only women. It's a setup, just like Jehu did to the pagans. The term bride of Christ, I'm about to blow your mind. The term bride of Christ is never used in the Bible. Never. The term bride of Christ is never used in the Bible. Because it's not a thing, you unsophisticated spiritual Stockholm syndrome, assimilated drones. That's as nicely as I could say it. But like Dana says, y'all think you can be a drag queen. I'm going to be a Christian dude drag queen. Yet, Jesus invited all to come to the marriage supper. Here's why. Revelation 19:17. The angel flies out and says to all the birds, "Come, gather together for the great supper of God. So you may eat the flesh of all these dumb bitches that came here thinking they were going to be part of the bride of Christ." The Christians show up. They're praying, "Come quickly, Lord Jesus." They're praying for the peace of Israel. They're praying for Christ to return. Come back, come back, come back. There ain't no Christ. He's not returning. They are using their power to get you to pray their Messiah back. And the first job one of him is to kill you, you dumb dummies. I almost feel bad for you. We're having a big party. And the first thing he's going to do is kill all the Gentiles. The birds get to eat all the Gentiles. And then what happens is after the destruction of the Gentiles, then the bride is made ready by the destruction of the Gentiles, which are the food for the great supper of God. This is where Judeo-Christianity finally splits. The Judeos get re-androgenized because the Christians just got killed and eaten. Judeos are invited, the Judeos invited to the supper Christians, but you're the menu. It's very, 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 very clear and plain. Very, very, very clear and plain. Forget Victoria's Secret. Now you know Jesus' secret. Jesus is coming back as the goddess form of the Elohim to transform sexuality and gender. He is coming back and bringing back with him transsexuality and transgenderism. And he's coming back to facilitate the completion of Tikkun Olam. And to do that, he's going to come back and kill all Gentiles, clear the way for all obstacles so that the re-androgenization of Tikkun Olam can proceed without delay or disturbance. This is exactly what they want to have happen. And it's going to happen unless we stop it. Gloria. Victoria and Jesus got the same secret. Jesus is the rabbi's returning goddess. Jesus is the rabbi's returning goddess. Now, I'm going to take a few minutes and re-show you something. Derek wants to know if Jesus wears those sexy panties. He might. He might. He is Jesus fabuloso. I don't do this very often, but I'm going to show you something I showed you before, just to bring you to be able to wrap your mind around this fact that Jesus is actually the returning goddess. But he came as a dude. Yeah, but he's a goddess. So let me go ahead and show you this real quickly. We'll open up the phone lines. And I have something special to bring to you tonight. Oh shoot, which one was that? It was Jesus transitioning the bride of Christ. That's what it is. Boom. And I believe it was page 8 to 18. Yes. Okay, watch this. Are y'all ready for this? Probably not, but here it goes anyway. Okay. Yeah, this is some deep stuff. It really is. Tikkun Olam. And remember, Tikkun Olam means at the beginning, everything was one. They were all an androgyne. The Judeo God was an androgyne, and all the Judeo people were androgynes. They were all one. This is the lore. And then when the Gentiles showed up, they caused all of these sparks to be broken, and the androgyne God got separated, and the androgyne people got separated into their separate pieces, male and female. And they're having a hard time finding their pieces. So the best way to find their pieces is to get rid of all the Gentiles. The eradication of us, the Gentiles, is the only way to restore what they see as their world. They're trying to restore the Genesis 1 androgyne world, and that's where Jesus comes in. Jesus is the master stroke of Tikkun Olam, and the way it will work if we don't stop it. And it's working right now. Jesus is the secret weapon of Tikkun Olam. Remember, Paul told us in 2 Corinthians 11:2, I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband that I might present you as a chaste virgin, just like Christ. In the very same way, the female Jesus character transitioned into a male, Christians are being transitioned into the bride or the virgin of Christ. This is the forced transition of the formerly great pagan and heathen people, the ultimate goal of Tikkun Olam. Was Paul also trans? Maybe, probably. I'm jealous because I have arranged your marriage to one husband that I could present you as a chaste virgin just like Christ. It's a lie. You'll only be one of the two scapegoats. But in the very same way, the female Jesus character, Jesus in his pre-incarnate status, female, as the female androgyne of the Elohim, transitioned to a male, Christian men are being transitioned into this. This. And this. Philippians 2:6-10. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Remember, which is the flow. Let that mind be in you, which was also in the flow. The female, the menstrual cycle, the flow. They're saying, do what Jesus did. You have to have the mind of Christ. And John 1:1, Genesis 1:26-27, God, this is Jesus, who was in the form of God. Remember John 1:1, in the beginning, he was the Word, the one was with God, he was God. Genesis 1:26-27, let us make man in our image. That's the Father and the Son, the Elohim. The Father is the dude, the Son was the daughter. He thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but he made himself of no reputation. He took upon himself the form of a servant. I'm reading to you from 2 Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 2. He was made in the likeness of men. Do you hear that? He was made in the likeness of men. Means he wasn't a man. He had to be made into the likeness of a man. And being found as a man, which means he wasn't, but being found as a man, he humbled himself, became obedient to death, even the death of the cross. Or you could say the cross dresser. Wherefore God's exalted him, given him a name above every name. And you have to have the same mind to do the same thing. You have to have the same mind to say the same and do the same thing. They're trying to get you to that big supper and kill you. I go to 18. Where am I? Oh, this is the last one. Therefore, we have the high priest. Don't they look fabulous? They have the high priest. We have the high priest who's been tempted in every way. In his pre-Jesus days, he knows all the temptation of femininity and female. In his Jesus days, he knows all the temptations of dudes. He's the image of the invisible God. What does that mean? The invisible God was what? Male and female, androgyne. male and female, androgyne. And Jesus was a representation of that. It's just that simple. And Guy sent me something today, which is really disgusting, but you know what? Every now and then you get a really good piece of intel from a really, really weird place. And this is one of those times where you get a really, really, really weird thing, a really, really good piece of intel from a really, really weird place. And I'm going to show you this right now, if I can. Let me show you this. Stop it. Okay, I'm going to show you this. It's a little bit. It takes a lot of stuff to do what I'm doing here. It's not as easy as it looks because I make it hard. But I think Jaren's going to help me out. And we're going to go the OBS way. We're going to make this large. Can I make this full screen? I don't think so. Let me unshare that. I got to do something first. I got to click this button that says share the sound. There it is. Boom. Share. Okay. I'll turn this up just in case. Okay, so Jesus was born without an earthly dad, right? Didn't have no earthly dad. It was a miracle. Just had a woman, a female, right? So here's this guy. Of course, he's a weirdo, but he says if Jesus didn't have a dad, then ponder this.
To the idea that Jesus was born of a virgin birth, then Jesus could not have had male chromosomes. Therefore, Jesus had only female chromosomes and presented as masculine. So Jesus was non-binary. And in terms of male and female, in the Hebrew, the word that was used for "and" describes a spectrum. Male and female and everything in between.
I am not an expert on Christian theology, but
No, because you're Jewish. But this guy just dropped some knowledge. And watch what Ben says here.
my understanding is that the idea is that Jesus was both fully human and also fully God. Is this correct, Christians?
No, it's not correct. How could he be fully human if he didn't have a dad? Dude was right. Jesus had no dad. He had no male dad. Where did he get his male chromosomes from, Ben? Where did he get his male chromosomes from? But Ben is assuring you that he got them. From where? I don't know. Must have been magic. Because you can't have this guy showing the truth on Ben's show. Ben's show ain't to show the truth. Ben's show's to keep you confused.
Anywhere around here?
Yup.
Yes, this is correct. Okay. If that is indeed the case, then Jesus would have had to have the full chromosomal slate in order to be fully human.
Where did he get it, Ben? Where did he get it? Just because you say it's true and you're a Jew. See? Judeochristianity. Just like, you know, the meme that says the man and the dog are working together. The Judeo and the Christians are working together the same way, dummies.
This means that if Jesus was male, he was male.
Where did he get the chromosomes?
Oh, man. Now, let's talk about.
That's a great point. Where did he get the male chromosomes? He didn't get the male chromosomes. He didn't get the male chromosomes. Wow. That's some deep stuff right there, cousins. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything on this deep program. We'll be back tomorrow for the other part 5 of it. At least I think we will. I may be doing some traveling. It'll be either tomorrow or the next day. I just got to make sure that I got through everywhere I wanted to get through here tonight. Give me a quick second. Let's see. Did I get through all I wanted to get through? I did get through all I wanted to get through. Perfect. So tomorrow night, we'll come back, and we'll come back with more on this. We're going to hammer it home, pardon the pun. It's going to be really powerful because tomorrow night we're going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about Jesus, and I'm going to go and prove it even more. We're going to show that Jesus is the goddess Avatar. Jesus was Ishtar, or at least they want you to believe that he was Ishtar. Jesus, the goddess Avatar. That's tomorrow night on Live from the Heartland. I think. Might be Wednesday. It might be both. I don't know. It just depends on how traveling goes. Got to go down and see my mother for Thanksgiving. You know how that works. Okay. So we're going to open up the phone lines in just a minute. But I want to, I don't know that I've ever made an appeal on this whole show. Since 2014, I don't know that I've ever made an appeal, but I'm about to make an appeal. And I got a new thing going on. And I don't know if you know it or not, but we don't make any money because we're kicked off of everywhere and we're demonetized from everywhere. But I still got to try to make some money, right? We got to live. We want to try to expand this work. So we're trying to be creative and to try to do something that helps people, helps our world, helps our goddess, and helps us put some dollars together to continue this work would seem like a great idea for me. And a lot of you ask me, and I love you, I appreciate you, Jeff, what can we do? Jeff, you work so hard. How can we help? Well, it's easy to just say, give me money, but I don't want you to just give me money. But if we can bring value to you and you can help, and I'm not going to share this hard all the time, but when you go to jeffreydarty.com now, which is going to be changing, we're having a complete revamp. I'm really glad. You see these things, you've got the Healthy Wave mat. You can buy those. They're great for you. And now you can also go to Gab here. If you want to be able to go to my Gab channel, we've got the EMP Shield, which is a great product. LifeWave, a great product. Relaxana, great product. You go to Rockfin here. We got the Nanosoma. We got the Fluffy. These are great products. But they are what they are, right? It's, you're making a cake one crumb at a time. And it takes a minute or two. But what we're trying to do now is, if you see this one right here, Jeffrey Can Help. Reduce monthly energy bill, save tens of thousands of dollars, zero out-of-pocket cost, free energy savings analysis. How much will you save? So if you click on that, it's going to take you to this page, and you can watch this cool little video. It's just a few minutes long. And what it does is, I'm asking you personally, if you're a homeowner from one cousin to another, let me just see if I can personally myself show you how to reduce your monthly energy bill, save you tens of thousands of dollars, and do it with zero out-of-pocket costs. Let me give you a free virtual, that means on Zoom. Let me give you a free virtual energy savings analysis to see if you'll save any money. And if you do, and you want to do it, great. If you don't, and you don't want to do it, or even if you do and you still don't want to do it, great. I'm not asking you to buy anything from me. I'm asking you to let me give you a free energy analysis if you own a home. If it works, great. It's a great win-win, and we go on to higher and greater places. That's all I'm asking. So check it out. And, the times being what they are, some of you has asked, oh, Jeff, what can I do to try to create some new income? This is what this one's about. If you want to work with me, watch this video, you fill out this little form, you can make some extra money. That's the end of that. So there we go. ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. We're trying to think outside the box and do something great and do it in a way that can everybody's a winner chicken dinner. That's kind of my style. So we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. If you call and you hear welcome to the Christian Whistleblower, press a 0. If you hear music, that means that you are on hold, and I will get to you just as quickly as the calls allow. So there you go. Let's see what we can get done around here. Cousins. All right. Now, remember, we're on YouTube, so be smart. Be smart. Don't get your cousin in trouble. All right. We all like money, Dagger. It's got to, it's not that we like money. It's like that we like the options that he gives us, right? That's what it's all about. And we're living in the real world, and we still got to, we got to have more money than, sometimes you have more month than money. We're trying to turn that around. We're trying to turn that around. Call in at 913-279-0831. 913-279-0831. Bum. We want to hear from you. And here's our first caller. You're live in the heartland. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jeffrey, this is Tracy Cooper calling.
Hey, brother, what's up?
Hey, man. I had a couple of things go on today. First of all, I had a knock at my door from your friendly neighborhood Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, did you?
And oh yeah. And I was actually kind of excited because I had the opportunity to let them know that their Yahweh/Jehovah was actually a lying murderer, and and that he was the God of the Jews, and so that nothing that and she wanted to read me some scripture, and I was like, no, there's nothing you're going to say to me that is going to let me change my mind whatsoever.
Right.
I know you're part of the Watchers, you're part of the Watchtower, so why don't you guys just have a good day, and send them off the porch with their walk of shame.
Wow.
So yeah, that was exciting.
That does sound exciting. I'm with you. Go ahead.
I got the book today, and I've been reading it, and I'm about 14 chapters in, but my whole time I'm thinking, this is absolutely backwards from what the truth is. And he's trying to sell,
you got that book, the Gods book, the Return of the Gods?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, and it was just completely, everything is the pagan's fault.
Yep.
And nothing that Yahweh ever did was, it's the gods that, that stepped in when, Baal was the primary guy that he was referencing. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was I mean, so I just wanted to make sure that, what I was receiving from it was basically what you've been saying tonight. So I feel much relief that I wasn't like misinterpreting what was being said in the book.
You got it exactly right. It's basically a complete inversion of what's going on, which is a diversion to blame everything that they're trying to do on us while they get it done.
Yeah, well, and the sad thing is there's probably plenty of people out there that are just eating that up. And
unfortunately, true.
And thinking that this guy's the second coming.
Yep. Tracy,
so,
great call. Thank you so much, sir. You're live in the heartland. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jeffrey, how you doing?
Hey, brother. Good to see you. Hear you. What's on your mind? Super Galactic.
Have you ever seen the movie The Trolls?
The Trolls? No.
Well, this movie is about a Christian family that tries to join a church, and they don't know, what they're getting themselves into. Well, at night, they turn into trolls. The people of the church, they turn into trolls at night, and they start eating new members that come into church.
Wow.
And then they find out that they done got in a bad situation. Well, they tried to the trolls tried to get the people to become like them, and they're scared of it, and they don't want to become like a troll. So they try to kill the trolls, but it's real hard for them to do that because of how they operate. Well, at the end of the movie, they get away from them and go back to their home, and the son was very protective of his mother because he was like, I'd say 7 or 6. And at the end of the movie, the family, like the mother and the other kids, they're like trolls eating the mother and saying, Mama tastes good.
Wow, that's some tough disclosure right there, isn't it?
Yes, that movie is telling us something.
I might have to watch that. The Trolls. Thank you, Super Galactic. Wow. 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 You're live in the Heartland. What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Jim. I was a little confused about something I just wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
How did I can't believe it, just forgot the guy's name. It's bad. But anyway, how did he sire Mary to have Jesus when Yahweh himself did not have a father?
Ooh, so that's another good point. Where are these male chromosomes coming from?
Exactly. Sophia.
Wow. Yahweh didn't even have a dad. Boy, that's deep. That's deep. I that slipped right by me. You nailed it.
Well, that was my thought there. How could that happen if that goes, But
that is so deep. Thank you so much for that. I mean, not only, there's no males. Oh, it's so, I mean, sometimes when I said that thing about Jesus was female, I'm like, boy, you're out on a limb, but it's sound textually. And the more we talk about it, the plainer it becomes. You're live in the Heartland. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jeff, it's just me, Cree.
Hey, Cree, what's up?
Oh, not too much. I just wanted to let you know you're doing an excellent job, and I really would like to see people like Jim Rizzoli actually start waking up a little bit more and coming out of that coma that he's in.
Me too. And I didn't say any names, but I do hope that Jim wakes up and realizes what's going on, because he's a good man at heart, and we could use him on our side.
We need him a lot on our side. I think one of the greatest guys I watch too, as well, as Brian Rue. He really knows what he's talking about too.
Yeah, I think Brian is pretty square. I mean, Brian is a Buddhist, so he's not of the Judeo-Christian mind meld. So Brian's pretty sharp. I like Brian myself.
It's sad what they've done to him on Google. I just Googled him a couple about Buddhism and stuff, and how they've just smeared his name all over the place, and
it's terrible
what they've done to him. Because I can tell you the Tibetan Buddhists would not do that to him.
No, they wouldn't. But thank you for that encouragement. It means a lot to me. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Wow. I mean, just good stuff, folks. Just good stuff. Powerful stuff. And the last 2 sections of this book, man, I mean, it's some of the best work we've done. And I just realized I did 102 screens, and I probably need to turn it into a book. Something like, Return of the Gods Exposed or something, an actual book. And we may do that. You guys are the best. And I appreciate you so much. And it's always an honor and a privilege to come to you. I'm going to be traveling this week, and just stay tuned on when and where the deprograms are going to be. You know, it's a holiday weekend. I'm almost surely will not do one on Thursday, you know, for obvious reasons. But we may, you know, I'm going to try to Tuesday or Wednesday, at least one of those days there'll be one. And there'll be one on Friday. Will be the one on Friday. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate that. And there'll be one on Friday too. So beyond that, I can't make any promises, but I promise you this: you are loved more than you know, and you are the last generation of real humans. You're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. Don't you dare go on bended knee to somebody else's savior. He's not going to save you for the sin he gave you anyway. Unindoctrinate yourself. Create yourself. Get busy. We're going to get busy helping you. I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. We'll see you again real soon. And we got to start getting in touch with not our dark selves, but our aggressive selves. More on that coming up.